Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt. Welcome back to Farlands or Bust, episode 702. 702 for your Sunday, August 26th, 2018. Become hypnotized by the floating block of dirt that won't go in my inventory. Oh, good times. Remember that? That happened a while ago. It happened a while ago because I've been away. I've been away on vacation. You can call it a vacation. Let's call it a vacation. But we're back in Farlands or Bust, episode 702, like I said, ready to continue west towards these Farlands here in Minecraft Beta 173. Indeed. And while I was away, y'all have been very generous with donations to Direct Relief Charity. We're trying to raise $50,000 this season of Farlands or Bust for Direct Relief at farlandsorbust.com, up to $17,500. Hi, creepers. Let's go this way. What are we? $17,570.40. Our good friend Cone Dodger has been having a little bit of an adventure on the Minecraft server. And as Cone Dodger often does, has kind of incentivized the Farlands or Bust charity donations through his own series. I think every time he dies on the Minecraft server, he's asking for donations because he's not safe. The Flosha people have gotten involved, the authorities. So appreciate that, Cone, and everybody who has also been tuning into Cone's Mindcrack server series and participating in that. Much appreciated indeed. Saw quite a jump and quite a few questions. Got a big list of questions here. I'm actually recording this just on my lonesome, not on a Twitch stream, because I noticed how many questions we have. I wouldn't be able to keep up if we had a Twitch stream going on at the same time. So yeah, much appreciated. farlandsorbust.com is where you can donate to Direct Relief. Indeed. Hoo-wee. Let me just real quick remind our American Farlanders that in a little bit over a month, there's going to be an important election. So make sure you are registered to vote. And make sure that you do vote. That would be much appreciated. That would be much appreciated indeed. And yeah, if other people need help registering or knowledge of voting, help them out as well. It's a big deal. It's a pretty big election that has some pretty significant implications. And voting is cool. And you want to be cool, don't you? Yeah. Cool like a fox. But yeah, please do register to vote. Make sure you're registered to vote. And then actually vote. Indeed, Mr. Sheep? Indeed. The sheep votes. Be cool like the sheep. Please. I beg of you. But yeah, please vote. Let me pontificate for a moment. Pontification station. You hear in circles that, oh, it's my right not to vote. No, it's not. It's not a right. You can't have a right to be inactive. It's your choice not to vote, and you're certainly free to not vote, but you have to accept the outcome of that choice and understand that your choice is one you're making. You have the privilege to make. Perhaps you don't feel like your life will be particularly affected by laws and elected officials, and that's your privilege that you get to take advantage of. And you have to also accept that by not voting, if you could vote, by not voting, you're pretty much supporting. Well, you are. You have supported whoever wins that particular election you're choosing to abstain from. Good or bad, whatever situation, you've enabled that. So as long as you're aware of that, voting is important. People didn't sacrifice for your right not to vote. They sacrificed for your right to vote. You know what I mean? And yeah, and it's kind of a selfish move. It's a selfish move, my dudes and dudettes and everything in between. If you choose not to vote, voting shouldn't be about you. It's about us. It's about voting for those who might not have the ability to vote, or who have many obstructions in their right to vote, preventing them from doing so. This music is really pulling the wind out of my sails here. So yeah, please reconsider that if that is your going thought about voting. It makes a difference to do so, and especially, like I said, in the next month, it'll make a huge difference. And don't get complacent about things. You know, it's just don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. Sure, maybe you might not lose your health insurance, or your family might not get separated at the border, or your rights to marriage won't be taken away. But it's not about you. It's about us and everyone. So please, this music, please make sure you're registered to vote. Double check. Even if you think you're registered to vote, double check. There's been some fishiness going on with the voter registration rolls. And make sure you're still registered to vote. Make sure your polling place is still open if being physically in person voting is the thing that you're required to do, because they're closing polling places and making things more difficult that way. But yeah, just make sure it's important. It is very, very important. Yeah, indeed. It's, sure, yeah. There was, like, other things I was meaning to say, but like I said, this music threw me off. Yeah, here, this is what they don't want you to know. Elections, campaigns, aren't so much about making a choice between A or B, or making someone change their minds from voting for B to vote for A instead. It's about getting the people who are gonna vote for a particular candidate to vote. It's not about the choice between candidates, it's about the choice to vote. Whether or not you agree, it's pretty set in stone who you're gonna vote for. The vast majority of people are not what they would consider undecided voters. That's a pretty inconsequential percentage. And that's why like things like gerrymandering are incredibly effective, because they know exactly where the votes are, right down to which side of the street that they'll draw the border on. It's about getting people to vote. They've already made up their minds. Getting people to vote is why, like, you know, rallies and get excited about voting and making your voice heard, and you know that's the reason why that tends to be the direction campaigns and elections tend to go. It's not about making a choice. It's about making the choice to vote, to actually vote. So yeah, do that, please. And now it's just eerily silent. So yeah, continuing on here in Far Lands West. Like I said, I was away the last week or so. Went on a little bit of a vacation. I've mentioned many times in the past, a lot of people mentioned that, like, oh man, I wish I could get together with my friends, my internet friends, without having to wait for a convention or a PAX or in the past, like a Minecon or TwitchCon to happen. So you know what I said? I will do that such thing without a convention. And I went ahead and visited a friend in Asia, and as well had a nice little visit with a dude you may know as BOO and Pungence. BOO's wife Nicole was there as well. We had a nice dinner. Got to meet up with them. They're doing great. They're doing fine. Stop asking about them. They're doing what they do. So let it be. But yeah, it was cool to hang out and get kind of in a different. It's nice to get in a different environment, I suppose you could say. Tend to get in a little bit of a lull. Is lull the word I'm looking for? Habit. Tend to get into habits from day to day, a bit of a routine, a rut even, so it was very good to shift gears. Speaking of shifting gears, let's go to sleep and continue in the morning. And awakeness. Of course, this comes right on the heels of next week is PAX West, PAX Prime here in Seattle, and quite a few, many, those are conflicting words, quite a many few Farlanders are coming into town, as well as one Dodger of Cones, first time in Seattle. So hopefully we have some time maybe to make some hashtag content. I know Cone wants to drive the 77 Corolla. I've got it up and running again, like I mentioned in the last episode. New carburetor. It's like a brand new carburetor. I just got my bumper bolts in and found a problem in that the bolts are smaller than the bracket holes, the holes in the bracket, so I gotta go out. It's never easy. It's like, yeah, I can finally get this thing. Oh no, I need something else now, and I gotta go to the store. So I need to find some like large flat washers to actually make sure they can be fixed properly. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We'll make some hashtag content and hang out. I know Cone has been on a quest to see an SR-71 Blackbird in person, and there's one at the museum, the Flight Museum. There's many flight museums around here on the south side of the city, so we'll have to do that. And otherwise, just hanging out. Although, in this case, with a convention happening in the background. However, I've only got 1 day passes, and a lot of people haven't bought the whole weekend passes for the convention. The conventions have kind of taken a back seat to the actual just getting together and hanging out and stuff. So that'll be cool. Looking forward to that. Friends! I have friends. See? They just don't live around me is the problem. Oh, man. So yeah, looking forward to that. What else? I've told this story on stream. There were multiple stories, actually, while I was away. My flight out there had a layover. Missed the layover because the flight was 2 hours late to leaving. Wasn't my fault. Wasn't the fault of weather. Got to my layover, and there were no other flights to my destination, so they put me up in a hotel, which they kind of try to make it seem like, ooh, we're giving you a free hotel. That didn't cost them anything. They have connections. They have deals with Marriott or whoever. And they weigh their profits to losses to know that it's okay for them to put you up in a hotel because you missed your flight because they were late. Another problem was that I always carry a carry-on. I don't like checking bags anymore for this precise reason, but they made me check my bag at the gate. Like, as I was about to walk on the plane, they're like, well, you have to check your bag because you're in economy class and there's no more overhead bin space, so check your bag and give it to the person at the bottom of the ramp. So I did that, assuming that my bag would go on the plane that I was on. It did not. It went on a later plane, which was weird. So that when I got to my layover in Minneapolis, and they're like, here's your hotel. You must now wait for tomorrow morning's flight. So go to this hotel. And I was like, well, where's my bags? Clearly they were on the plane. Because, careful, Wolfie. Because I was mere feet from the door to the plane when my bags were taken from me. No, not on that plane. They weren't due to arrive until about midnight. Which begs the question, if I had made my connection in Minneapolis and made it to my destination, my bags would not have been with me. My bags would have been late. And that was the last flight. They would have been stuck in Minneapolis for a full another day. Why? That's the first time that's ever happened. Why would they do such a thing? It makes no sense. Anyway, I don't want to keep complaining about. I start to sound like my dad, where like he goes on vacation. I love you, Dad. I don't know if you listen to these, but goes on vacation or goes on a trip or does something out of the ordinary. And the biggest stories there are the stories about what went wrong and how the airline screwed up or this, that, or the other. But I digress. So that happened. I made it to my destination a day late. I got my bags hours late, but they had my medication that was very important. Didn't really want to start going through antidepressant withdrawal when I had to get up at 5 a.m. to catch my morning flight. But anyway, did that. Had a bunch of fun with my friends. Almost got in an accident. Really close, almost got in an accident. Told this whole story already on stream. Just a crazy, weird, wacky situation. And I can barely... I mean, I can remember it, but it all happened in the blink of an eye. And Anasia likens it to my racing video game reaction times and experience in maneuvering vehicles, that I was able to avoid the accident that happened to the car right in front of us on the highway. It was, without being overly dramatic, it was a head-on collision of a wrong-way driver on an expressway. There's a lot more details that went into it than that, but the car in front of me didn't make it out unscathed. But I somehow was able to maneuver. See, I maneuvered. That's the thing that most people don't understand, is perhaps they panic, but they just slam on the brakes and grip the wheel tight and continue going forward. But your steering wheel still works in those situations. It works a lot better if you have anti-lock brakes and all-wheel drive, as we did. But if you can, perhaps whilst trying to stop to avoid catastrophe, also try to maneuver out of the way to avoid catastrophe. As long as, like, there isn't, other traffic in the other lane or a cliff on the other side of the street, that'd be great. But yeah, that was crazy, and I'm very glad that we're okay there. And it's kind of disappointing that there's no news about the accidents. There was a lot of accidents that day. It starts drizzling a little bit and people forgot how to drive. But it was a pretty bad accident. The people in front of us, whose fault it wasn't, one girl had definitely a broken leg. It was quite visible. But the other guy, I think it was a guy, I don't know. The other driver was rushed pretty quickly away. Was conscious, what Anasia says, and talking, but got hit pretty hard there. So yeah, that's about as close as I ever want to come. I never want to come that close again to an accident. I've never been in an accident. Knock on wood. And let's hope my driving prowess keeps me from doing so in the future as well. But yeah, that is that. And now I'm back and recording Far Lands or Busts and answering questions from those who donate at farlandsorbust.com, like Carita. Carita asks, what do you do for a Klondike bar? What do you do when you hear a strange noise in the middle of the night while you are in bed? Cower. Cower! Um, honestly, kind of coward. It's, it's kind of tough to say. Certainly in my youth, I was like, as a kid, worried about like ghosts and monsters and spooky things. But now that fear has kind of been replaced with the fear of people and burglars. Burglars. Wolfie's worried about burglars burgling his pork chops. Oh, we're out of iron. And stone. This is an interesting predicament. Huh. I didn't know I was, like, completely out of iron. Okay. Boink. But even then, it's nothing to worry about. Like, the chances, like, just think of statistics. Statistically speaking, really don't have anything to worry about as far as intruders. Most burglaries happen during the day when people are away from the house at work. And most burglaries are unarmed. They just want to steal your TV or whatever. They're not here to murder you. It's not like horror movies or anything like that. But yeah, I'll usually investigate. I'll usually maybe try to figure out what it is just like in my head. Other times it's like, nah, I'll be fine, and I just kind of like turn over and go back to sleep. Speaking of which, and awakeness, and continuing onness. The house I grew up in was a very creaky house with the wind and the aluminum siding constantly creaking and shifting in the wind. We had loud pipes too, for some reason. Like, our pipes would often, I guess, have air in them or something, and then, like, random moments in the middle of the night, they would be like... It wasn't an old house either. It was built in the mid-'80s. But it's just weird. Like, little things like that were just... That subsequent houses that I've lived in have not had such problems. But, yeah, no, I think I don't have any particular fears in that regard. Look at all these amazing sheer cliffs and waterfalls. Ooh, don't go down there. That's spooky. That's spooky down there. Well done. Dang. So yeah, that's what I do. Or don't do, I guess, when I hear a weird noise in the middle of the night. Let's see, how do you say this name? Bibigirante asks, who does your favorite Bad Simpsons impression? I don't know that many people who do Simpsons impressions. But I know Beef does a really bad Marge. I've heard him do it a couple times in videos. Oh, me. Or, you know, whatever he does. I'm pretty sure that was Beef, right? Or he tends to do the Homer whisper thing too. This is a secret. Don't tell anybody. That thing that I do is pretty bad on my part too. It's not really Homer, is it? But yeah, I don't know that many people who do Simpsons impressions. Impressions are difficult. Especially when the vast majority of the Simpsons characters are themselves different voices of the same voice actor. So yeah. That was a new question that I wasn't sure how to answer. Radoslaw, or Rados Law, I'm going to say slaw. Coleslaw. Asks, do you prefer taking a shower or a bath? Shower. I can't remember the last time I took a bath. Baths just seem weird. Like, I can see how they're relaxing to sit and enjoy, like a hot tub or something like that, but to actually bathe and get clean? No thanks. Cavolave! Shower is where it's at. Why do older podcast episodes disappear? They disappear? They shouldn't. They should all be up there. You might be thinking about, like, say, on iTunes or an RSS feed. If that's the case, I think those indexing services like iTunes have, like, a limit to what they'll list. If you're looking for old episodes, you should go directly to the Podbean Farlands or Bust website, which there's a link in the video description, but I think it's flob.podbean.com, I think. But yeah, that's actually where the episodes are hosted. But yeah, if you're viewing via the RSS feed or an aggregator like iTunes or Android or whatever, it might not go all the way back. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's a setting on my part or that's just the way those things behave. But yeah, they're all should still be up there since episode 600, I think, is when we started those. Which also might be your question. Are you looking for podcasts prior to episode 600? Because they didn't exist. They don't exist. That was when we started the podcast thing. And lastly, what about selling the old computer at a charity auction? See, I don't think it's worth much at all. It's not worth much at all. That's the problem. I still stand behind building my own computers as kind of a good way to understand the hardware and to be, save money in that regard and get exactly what you want. But what used to be my excuse to building my own computer is like, oh, you can upgrade it as you wish. And swap out the parts for, and up, that never works. It's always been the case that I built a computer and then it becomes obsolete, so I build a new computer, and then the old computer is just junk. Like, maybe I can use a hard drive or two over again. But yeah, although I'm pretty sure the old computer, I might be able to turn it into a good gaming machine. Because the processor is a pretty good processor. It's the 2600, 6200, whatever. It's just a quad-core, unlocked K-series Intel chip. But I think, realistically, the only bottleneck on that system right now is the graphics card. And honestly, it's completely useless to me now. The only reason I was really keeping the old computer, like I mentioned in the last episode, was for Sony Vegas, because that's how I was rendering videos. And I've switched to Premiere now on the new computer. Also, I'm paying for the Adobe Creative Suite thing, so I have Photoshop and all the other stuff I need on this computer. The last thing that the old computer, the old Windows 7 computer was using was Microsoft Money. Yes, I know I'm old and stubborn and will not upgrade my checkbook software. But Microsoft Money, they stopped making in 2008. And at last I checked, it wasn't available for Windows 10. But I just found today that they made a version, like a end of life, like this is the end of Microsoft Money. Here's a no longer updated or supported version to just have that works. And it works on Windows 10, and it's free. So I installed it. So now I literally have no other reason to turn on the old computer. So I'm thinking, especially since we've been having problems with things like No Man's Sky, No Mansky, it might be time to consider the dual streaming setup, where the current computer that I'm playing and recording and streaming on could be the streaming computer because it has a 6-core processor. And then the old computer, if I just upgrade it to Windows 10, as well as get a new graphics card, probably get a 1080. I know they just announced the new ones, but those are oppressively expensive. So I think I'll just get a 1080. And again, a 1080 Ti, probably more than I need. So I'll just get a 1080. Pop that into the old computer, just refresh and reboot it, and just take out, you know, I got like 8 hard drives in there, maybe like 6 for all the video files and things like that. Maybe just put enough storage in there for gaming and for the system. I probably want to put it in a new case. The case it's currently in is a good case. It's the Antec P192. But it's a little bit cramped in there, and I very much like the case of the new computer. Probably put it in a new case. No, I don't. Well, depends. I don't think I'd need a new power supply, but might need a new power supply for a 1080. And then do the dual, like, play video games on one computer, but then stream it from the other computer, and then we will have no lag, none whatsoever. So yeah, maybe. I'm in no hurry, and certainly my budget is in no position to do that right now. But yeah, I don't think auctioning off a computer, like I still have, the computer previous to this one is in my closet just gathering dust. And it's, you know, had its SATA cables and hard drives scavenged, and fans and stuff for these computers. So I kind of hate it that it's like disposable like that, but it's kind of the position I'm in, I guess. Ugh. Indeed. Lastly, Stuart here says, I want to buy a lottery ticket. Can you pick 6 random numbers between 1 and 59? If I somehow win, it'll get you to your charity goal. No! Don't play lottery. Don't play lottery. Lottery is a scam. It's a bamboozle. Use your time instead and make sure you're registered to vote. And you know, for whatever the lottery ticket costs, just give that to the charity. And I assure you it will be more than the $0 you will win from the lottery. Lotteries, state lotteries, are a tax on people who don't understand statistics and probability. That's the going saying, isn't it? So yeah, don't play the lottery. Don't gamble. Ah, there's a wolf in my face. Hello. But I do appreciate what you've donated so far to even ask that question, and encourage you and your friends to continue going to farlandsorbust.com to donate. Let's build the end of the episode hidey hole here. Ooh, iron. Okay, I guess I'll take some iron. All right, Wolfie, where are you? Sure. Oh, dang it. There we go. Yeah, farlandsorbust.com, like I said, is where that takes place. That's not how I should have done that. There we go. Like I said, when we raise $20,000, I'll do the Kurt Reacts to Kurt video, which is to say I'll finally watch that Guinness World Record video on me, which I've yet to watch because I'm awkward and I cringe. Oh, it'll be a cringe fest indeed. So get us closer to that, and then at 50%, at $25,000, we'll build the Saturn V Lego, which ought to be fun as a throwback to the space shuttle Lego we built in a previous season goal. And you're also helping out Direct Relief, which is a great cause. Learn more at directrelief.org. I got a couple boats, made all my beds. Yeah, I'm a little bit out of practice here. We'll get back into it. Indeed. Indeed. Thank you so much for watching, indeed. My name is Kurt, indeed. I, indeed, will see you, indeed, next time. Indeed.